Good morning, Joe Stansell here from Product Coalition, and today I've got an interview for you with Varun Baruah from Outsell in India. Varun's co-founder and product manager at Outsell, and Varun and his co-founders have successfully built a technology product from scratch using some common lean principles such as getting out and chatting to the customer market. And Varun's going to share with us today some of the ways he's been able to do that and how they've essentially created a gamification and alternative learning product for the sales industry, which has recently won them multiple awards, the most recent being at the UK Trade and Investments Tech Rocketship Awards in 2016. So we'll go over now to Varun, and he can tell us a little bit more about himself and the product.
Definitely. Thanks, Jay and Product Coalition, for providing this opportunity. Happy to be here, everyone. As you introduced rightly, my name is Varun. I'm the co-founder, product manager of Outsell. The term we coined Outsell is basically to enable sales employees to be better in their job. And how do you do it? We use some sort of alternative learning, gamification, game mechanics, other theories, which is out of the box, and ensure the sales employees love the way they learn and be productive on the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you from a sales background, Varun? How did you identify this problem?
It goes back to 2014 when I met my co-founders. So they're basically into learning engagement background. I'm from technology background. Those days we are more keen on exploring different techniques, how to bring in that engagement element into that learning space. And then we started ideating and conceptualizing, brainstorming any product which could help solve this problem, because we know from an industry standpoint that 80% of the training which has been done to any enterprise employees, sales employees, is been lost if it's not reinforced within 60 days. And 80% of the sales employees who are on the field are not that productive. And in terms of revenue, in terms of product revenue which a company generates, the 70% of the revenue is generated from 20% of the products. So high margin products or the mid margin products are not being able to push much by the sales guys. At the same time, the real time sales conversation which they need to have effectively with the customers are not happening. So what is the problem? How do you solve it? How do you break it up with a non-traditional method?
Okay. You mentioned at the start there around ideation and prototyping. Could you share a little bit about how you tested prototypes and those ideas with your customers or potential customers?
Right. So me and my co-founders attended a lot of sessions, seminars, conferences across, speaking about engagement, the gap in learning, how to solve it. The term gamification was coined back in early 2000s, and it was still a term which is not being used by industries to solve real business problem. So when we start thinking of building a product on search terminologies, so what are different elements we look up to it? So we thought of building an entire product which flows in three different directions, and it basically tries to solve the engagement or metrics of a different enterprise product. At the same time, user, when he onboards a product and he moves from one level to other, how he is been patted on his back, or he's been motivated on each of his journeys, and he knows his progress report. So to cut this story down, so initially we thought of putting some game narratives into the entire element. We did basically sketching and then creating a sort of design templates in InVision or other formats, and then start thinking of building the product. But at the same time, one smart move we did, like we start speaking to a lot of different corporate clients and then pitching about our idea, and then they saw a lot of interest that this is the some kind of product which can solve the problem which the market exists.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here is iterations of UI designs and one-to-one interviews with potential customers,
Right.
and using that sort of co-creation with the
Right.
future market to create the product. Okay,
Right.
fantastic. And for a lot of startups, even just getting that one interview to talk about an idea can be quite difficult. How did you and your co-founders find it getting into the enterprises to be able to have a conversation with them about this type of product? Was it using your networks, or what techniques did you use to be able to get in front of people?
So to bring it a little context of how we got access to these networks or these industry veterans. So one of my co-founder, Raj Dam, he happened to be the country's #1 quizzing company's CEO. So he has been in this learning engagement industry for long, and he's recognized as a country's top 2-3 quiz masters across. So he has hosted across around more than 80 events, dealt with like 100 odd corporates, and he knows people in the industry. But the thing is, he has been doing, or the company QuizJobs has been doing business which is not repeatable and scalable, because we are doing most of the business which are service led, nothing sort of a product led, but that was more an offline or some kind of a little bit of online. We thought of coming together, building a product, and then reviewing it with those industries who came up with this problem statement like 2-3 years back, and to validate if we build a product like this, how would you perceive on that? So we never hard coded any part of it unless we get a validation from a proper client. So initially, when we started pitching to a lot of industry veterans, they showed interest. So the funny part of it, like after the first pitch, first sales pitch, they are very keen at looking at the product demonstration. So I had to quickly hack it around and then show some kind of a design for them to convince that we are on the track of building the product out as soon as possible. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. And so what I'm hearing from you there is around being very lean and changing your product on demand as you're learning as fast as possible with the conversations you're having from people. Okay. Fantastic. So we've spoken about the problem and how you validated that with the industry. We've touched on a little bit around the channels to the market of to get in front of customers. Could you tell us a little bit around maybe who the customer market is? Whilst I appreciate it's assist with selling, and you mentioned enterprise. Is it specific enterprises that are set up in a certain way, or a specific size, or have a particular way of working? What can you tell us about the customer segment that you've found that works really well for your product?
Right. So when it started off in 2014, late 2014, it took us like 7-8 months to get the first MVP out, and then once the product is out to ship in the market, we started going after all different segments, all different verticals, even under sales, business heads, even under L&D heads, even under marketing heads, in retail, BFSI, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, everywhere. But then we realized that with a band of 8-10 guys who are trying to build this product and set a footprint in a particular industry, this sort of marketing approach or go-to-market approach is not going to work. So we have to narrow down our approach and focus on one segment, or probably focus on L&D or sales, and sales effectiveness or sales enablement. And even in sales effectiveness, we cannot lay our hands in all different verticals. We have to be expert in one particular sector or vertical, and then try to be like a big fish in a small pond, and then take the same product out and try to replicate in different verticals. So initially, and this is one part of the entire strategy. And second part is like when we started speaking about gamification, alternative learning, there are a lot of throwback questions to us, like how can a terminology like this can impact in a real business problem. At the same time, trying to understand, trying to educate the customers on this terminologies is like a bit problematic for us. So that's the reason why we have to pivot a lot in our value proposition and market proposition. In the last year or the later part of the last year, we stopped using the term gamification. We just try to pitch in like as an sales effectiveness or sales productivity or sales enablement, because gamification leads to a lot of tangent questions where they think us to be a gaming company, where gamification is very much different to what game really means.
Okay. I think that's probably a good lead in to talk about your unique value proposition, and maybe if you could, if we could play this out in almost a role play persona method. So if I'm a sales guy and sales are average, I'm looking at new ways of increasing sales effectiveness for me and my team over the next 12 months. How would I use Outsell? What was the unique value that I'm going to get out of this that I wouldn't have seen or used before?
Right. So to come into this, to before pitching in, we do a lot of customer validation. So we try to find the right customers who are not that receptive towards technology. They understand technology. They appreciate that a technology can solve a real business problem. Now, if I have to pitch into you, assuming you are a business head or an marketing or a sales head of a company, I'll just simply try to dig in and try to figure out what is it that is lacking, or what is it that has resulted in an what you call uphill revenue growth, or what could have done better in your entire process that could have led in a more revenue. So what we have gathered from the market is like there are two factors. One, sales guys are more comfortable selling the product which are good to sell in the market. They are not comfortable in selling high margin products which the company pushes for, because the company's revenue comes, the company is okay with competitive products which are already selling the market, and even sales guys quota is fulfilled with selling those products. But the high margin products which need more of product knowledge, more of Q&A, more of back end for the customer, sales guys are not comfortable with. Secondly, sales guys, so the entire process of a sales onboarding, if I'm a sales guy joining in a company, I'll have a typically onboarding classroom training where I go through this process of 1 month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks depending on the company, and then post that I have been handed over a pile of product literatures, be it an online and offline format, where I can choose to refer back when I pitch into a customer. But that normally doesn't happen. When a sales guy goes and pitch to a customer, and if a customer questions him back about a product, product specification or product capabilities, he take up the call and directly calls in the product manager or a marketing manager of the company and inquires about this particular question and get it back to the customer. So how can you reduce that interaction between the customer and the sales guys, and how can you make those pitching or communication more effective so that he communicates what he's supposed to communicate and he can show the value of the product to the particular customer. So this is what we are trying to say, that if we can increase the productivity of a sales guy with so percentage, and we can reduce the turnaround time of a sales guy being go-to-market on the field, it could lead to X amount of revenue growth for the company.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I hope I've been able to pitch in the right way. Probably my founder will be a right guy who pitches. I come in the product demonstration.
All good. No, it makes sense. What I found interesting as well is obviously with the enterprise, when you've got a customer market that is full of enterprises, and we talk about sales in enterprises, big enterprises typically have big systems and big CRMs in play,
Right.
and
Right.
I can imagine that for many a sales guy, this could also, because it's new, because although I could be comfortable with technology, you're playing
Mm-hmm.
around with my sales techniques and my sales funnel.
Mm-hmm.
How have you found that different enterprises and their different CRMs and their different processes, do you find that you have to manipulate your product to fit each enterprise individually, or does it seem to just organically fit into every enterprise as it is?
Right. It's a pretty decent. I mean, it's a pretty interesting question. Uh, the product has the set of elements or set of features which can be plugged on, plugged off. So we when we tap into a particular sector, let's say manufacturing, our way of approaching the particular problem, or our way of creating the game narrative and creating the personas to hook a particular user will be quite different, because because the use case or the problem statement or the product literature which they deal with are very different to retail product literature. At the same time, if we are dealing with users who are in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and if we are dealing with users who are in the tier 1 cities and the MNCs, the personas changes, and we have to tweak in our product parameters or tweak in our user journeys and other elements to match the hook of the particular users.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you. We spoke earlier around how you had to ideate on the product and prototype different concepts of how the product would come to be. If we talk about product pricing, did you find you also had to do that with the price in order to fit it into the market?
Mm, to an extent, no, because we realize when we hit like 10, 12 customers, we realize we are pricing way lower to what
Okay,
enterprise solutions are pricing. So in that way, we consulted with a lot of business leaders, or whom we call as gurus or mentors, who come up and say like this is the way you price, this is the way you rightly price your product,
right.
because your cost to customer acquisition and lifetime value of a customer should merge in over a period of time. So if you keep pricing low, because probably you are the early movers in the market, but at one point you have to match that and keep your revenue flow happening.
Okay. And going hand in hand with pricing is obviously retaining customers and reducing churn. How, as a business, do you tackle that? Is it the technology just seems to work? Is there ongoing business relationship activities to maintain the relationship between you and your customers in a face-to-face or picking up the phone type piece? What techniques do you do to keep and retain the customers?
Right. So before that, I have to little dig into how our selling happens, and how we sell our license. So it's like
Okay.
SaaS product where we sell per user licensing fee, and they pay a set of fee upfront, and then they buy license per user. They pay us like 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, and they renew for 1 year. If they pay a 1 year amount one shot, we give them a set of discounts, right?
Yeah.
And then after 1 year, they resign it. So the good news is, like as I mentioned earlier, that we are a company who have been able to retain 90 above 95% of our customers for a third consecutive year, and that has led to so that and that has led to the revenue flowing, constant revenue flowing in, and we could invest that amount in our product roadmap and developing more features. Now coming to pricing, the particular customer. So what happens is, typically when we charge a particular amount, and then and then uh, uh, and then once you launch a product, so the initial buying in happens with the decision makers like CXOs or the business heads. But after that, it's a one-to-one engagement with a user who will be like on-field sales guys, or regional sales guys, or the territory heads. And our retention for the next consecutive cycle, next consecutive years depends on the feedback of those sales guys to their seniors or to their boss, and at the same time the ROI or the business impact which we can quantify to an extent. So also for us, what we try to do, we follow something called as MAD philosophy, mechanic, aesthetics, and dynamics. So on top of features, we try to get a personal connect association with the client based on the user personas. Let's say in a particular region, so as you might be aware, in India we have like 20-30 different festivals going on over the month, right? So one of our top manufacturing client where we deployed our product for 80 different locations. So every month we try to figure out what is the regional festival that's going on, and try to hook in the player journey based on the regional festival. Or in a way, if there is some Diwali going on, or there is some local event going on, or there is some cricket match going on, we try to put in during Olympics time. We had designed this game journey of Road to Rio. So user travels from Mumbai to Dubai to London and finally Rio, and then this is how we try to hook in on an individual basis.
Okay, that's really interesting. So you've got the ability to refresh the product theme in order to assist with that sales drive. That's really interesting. Brilliant. I think you mentioned a little bit earlier that the team's up to 18 people now in the business. Is that right?
14 plus channel partners across 3 different locations. Yeah.
And on the technology side of the business, how did you go about scaling the team appropriately? Did you start off with just yourself coding, or was there a few of you that was writing code in the early days and you've scaled accordingly? How did that play out for you over the last sort of 2.5, 3 years?
Right. So currently a technology front, we are a bunch of 6 guys who code, design, and test around. So initial days, I was the one who used to put on those thought process in the product, and then used to be one guy who used to code and show me or get reviewed the layouts from me. And then going forward, keeping in mind the product roadmap, we keep into picture the 3 different elements, that we don't build features, build multiple features at one go, and we try to. So initially, when we build the product, we had like 8-10 different features, but later on when we started shipping out the product to users, and we had like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 users, we start realizing that out of these features, certain features are not even used by the product. So we followed something kind of an anti-product roadmap, where we first decided internally that we're going to remove these features before bringing in a new feature.
Yeah.
So our investment on product technology or roadmap is not that too much extent. We try to ensure that whatever we had is being touched upon by the users and is being appreciated by the users.
Okay, that's really interesting to see, and I can what I'm hearing there is you're looking after your code, you're clearing up your tech debt, you're revalidating your features as you go, because you don't want to support redundant features that no one's using, right. And that's great to hear. Can I ask, over the last sort of 2.5, 3 years, is there anything you'd wish you'd done differently, that now with the benefit of hindsight you'd look back and go, I wouldn't have spent 6 months doing that, I would have done this instead? Is there any of those stories you've got for us?
I would not tell each other story. It's a learning phase for us. So initially, as I mentioned earlier, right, when we build a product, we never had thought through that what could be the right use case or what could be the segment we're gonna target to. And at the same time, we end up spending like close to 9 months to 1 year trying to figure out where should we position and what should be our market positioning. At the same time, if we try to coin a new terminology like alternative learning, gamification, to educate a particular client or CXOs and to break in the old school mindset and get in the buying is like a little burning our fingers to an extent. So we could have done that better in a way if we are smart enough, if we had known that this is the route you should have taken and taking the longer route. But that's okay. We have learned the hard way, and we'll try to improvise in every step of our journey.
Brilliant. Well, I think for those amongst the product community that are watching this that have SaaS products and are pitching to enterprises, that's a valuable lesson. Changing mindsets takes time, is what I'm really hearing there. So that's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. This has been really interesting call, Varun, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk us through the product, the techniques, the stories, and I think it's really interesting. If I'm correct, if people want to learn a little bit more about the product, it's at letsoutsell.com. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Letsoutsell.com. And I'll share some links in below this video for those who want to reach out to Varun on LinkedIn, etc. as well.
Perfect.
For now, Varun, thank you very much. As I say, it's been really interesting, and I look forward to catching up again soon.
I really appreciate that. Thanks, Jay, for your time.
All good. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.
So there we go. Varun there from Let's Outsell. So it's been really interesting for me to hear a little bit of depth to the SaaS product Varun's got there at Let's Outsell, and I'm just getting the feeling that it takes time to sell SaaS into an enterprise, and patience. And what I've also heard from that is the fact that a co-founder of his was an SME and had a strong network and already had network success with enterprises has been a lever they've been able to pull to make headway on that, getting that product into that industry. That's all from me for today. If you've got a product or a product story that you'd like to share with the product community at productcoalition.com, please reach out to me. Either you'll find it on productcoalition.com, the website there under product people, or you can just email me. It's j@productcoalition.com. Until next time, good luck, goodbye, and I'll speak to you soon.